So Luffy is finally returning in this chapter. It hasn't really been that long, like 2 or 3 chapters, but it's felt long. He's been out of the story for a little bit, especially with everything that's going on with Emu and the giants and all the craziness, and we'll get into that. We're also finding out extra little bits of secret lore in this chapter too. It's pretty exciting, especially what happens at the end. So let's get into it. We continue from the last chapter. More giants are being transformed into demons, and more nightmare monsters emerge from children's dreams. So yeah, we saw this in the previous chapter. Emu has started to show their abilities. Weird kind of crazy magic stuff where they can become like a demon monster devil thing and can also make other people become this. As we saw with Dory and Bragi, Emu made them become like these devil monster things with altered personalities. Makes them like more evil, I guess. We also saw more of Killingham's nightmare monsters come out. So now Emu has like their own little small makeshift army at the moment in Elbaf. We see Killingham's hybrid form. He has a human face with spiked teeth. I just assumed Killingham was always in his hybrid form. You know, because it looks like it. Because typically when a Zhoniin user goes into a hybrid form, they wind up looking the way that Killingham does. You know, like anthropomorphic and a little bit goofy with the proportions or whatever. But no, that's just what the Kirin fruit looks like. Which is interesting because the Kirin, or the mythical creature, the Kirin, is more horse-like. You know, it's not like humanoid. So that's interesting. I wonder what he looks like. We get a flashback of Chopper saving Gaban using guard point, and Luffy senses his presence and also senses Gaban. Alright, Chopper doing something significant here. That's pretty cool. Saving people, it's, you know, like what he does. But Scopper, I think it was like 2 chapters back, he wound up defeating Summers. But then he eventually ran into Gunko, who had Colin, which is Scopper's son, and he used like his future sight to see that if he did act, Gunko would have straight up killed Colin, so he essentially just allowed himself to be defeated by Gunko, and he like fell afterwards. So now we're seeing that Chopper is straight up saving him here. And Luffy is also sensing what's going on. So this is like the beginning of Luffy coming back into the story here, which we're going to get more into. Masa calls Loki one last time, thanking him for something. Oh, that's an interesting development as well. So Masa is this mysterious person that we saw talking to Loki on a Den Mushi a while back. I think it only happened in 1 chapter. We don't really know much about this person. It's implied that they're like kind of like a friend with Loki, but we don't know why. We don't know why there's a Den Mushi there. We don't know why they're able to communicate. But this is just some mysterious person that Loki has correspondence with for some reason. There was a big theory out there, especially through Lunapi and Art. He theorized that Gunko had 2 personalities and that Emu would eventually take her over. And his theory about Masa was that it was actually Gunko's other personality talking to Loki from, I don't know, like a cell or something. But I guess that's not the case now. Considering that Emu has taken over Gunko's body and is currently doing all the crazy stuff, I don't think they have time to quickly talk to Loki here. So Masa is somebody else. Might be a new character. Not really sure. Not much to go off of, I guess, right? Luffy's group reunites with Chopper and Gaban, and they discover that Ya is actually Scopper Gaban from the Roger Pirates. Someone says that Gaban is Roger's crew's 3rd strongest man, but Gaban insists that he was actually the 2nd strongest. I thought for a second, like, did they already talk about this? But I guess they didn't. When they ran into Scopper originally, little was actually said, I guess. And they kind of just accepted that, like, oh, this is the guy that has the key to Loki's chains. He's really powerful. Like, he destroyed base form Luffy, but they don't need to know anything more. It's just, oh, hey, you're just some really powerful human that's randomly here and has Loki's key. That's good enough for me. But now they know that he is Scopper Gaban of the Roger Pirates. And it's funny that they're saying, like, he's the 3rd strongest, but he's insisting that he's the 2nd. Because that was the narrative for the longest time. Especially going in order of the naming. You know, Goldie Roger, gold. Silver's Rayleigh, silver, and then Scopper Gaban, copper, or bronze, you know, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. But now that we have seen both Rayleigh's and Scopper in action, it seems like Scopper is the stronger one. And that's only because of like the way power creep is working. You know, we only really saw Rayleigh fight somewhat seriously back at Sabaody, I guess, right? And now that we're at this stage of the game where, you know, regeneration, Holy Knights, Gorosei, and Advanced Conquerors hockey is like the norm, of course it's going to seem like Scopper is way stronger than Rayleigh, but I'm sure once Rayleigh comes back and he starts fighting seriously, he's going to have all the same stuff that Scopper does. Emu uses another Conquerors hockey attack across Elbaf. Everyone is shocked. Luffy notices Emu's hockey and he says he understands what's happening. Alright, here's like the big moment, I guess. Emu using like a Conqueror hockey wave blast or whatever. Again, they already did this in the previous chapter. But Luffy sensing it, of course, why wouldn't he? And he says that he understands what's happening. Is this because of like the Nika fruit being familiar with Emu? Or has he just learned from Egghead that like, oh, this is the same type of power that I felt from the Gorosei? Because, you know, he had an interesting reaction when Saturn first appeared on Egghead, right? I'm pretty sure he did. So maybe he realizes like, oh, that's the same thing. I know I'm in for some crap now because there's like a boss on the island. But little does he know that it's actually the final boss, or implied to be. I don't know if they're going to meet in the next chapter, but it seems like they are inevitably going to meet at this point, which is really exciting. I mean, this is what it's all about, right? Aside from like Luffy meeting Shanks again and Luffy meeting Blackbeard, this is like the top 3 biggest meeting that we want to have, right? The chapter ends with Loki saying that they need his power after all, and everyone is ready to fight Emu. Alright, here we go, our boy Loki getting ready to fight. It's bittersweet because there's only so much he can really do because he is still recovering from getting nearly killed by Shamrock and getting punched by Luffy. I mean, the punch from Luffy wasn't that bad. It was kind of just like a love tap to knock him out, but most of the damage came from Gunko and Shamrock, and also I guess just sitting on a tree chained up for like, what, 6 years or something? But I guess Masa told Loki what was going on the island possibly, meaning that Masa is there and actively, you know, around. Now, either I'm not reading this correctly, and what Loki is saying is that they need his power and not his own. But maybe he's talking about Luffy? I hope Loki's talking about himself because I want to see Loki fight. I mean, yes, he is injured and he's limited in his power output, but man, he's just so cool, so much potential. Also, this is going to the theory that we were talking about last week, and it's that Emu might like take over Loki with these demon devil transformation power thing, the way that they did with Dorian Bragi. So if Loki gets taken over, then oh my god, that's an incredible arc-ending fight for Luffy, and I guess that could take us into Ragnarok. I guess that's how it would activate, right? Loki becoming like the demon devil thing, and then maybe with his devil fruit transformation, he winds up looking like Surtur, you know, the big guy that like causes Ragnarok in like the actual Norse mythology. But let me know what you think about all this in the comments, guys. We'll get more into this probably tomorrow once we get more spoilers from Read On. But again, let me know in the comments what you think, and if you liked the video, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.